Have you ever found yourself in a bind, struggling with a piece of fabric known as a tie? Ah, the humble necktie, an accessory that's caused more than its fair share of frustration and grief. You've probably been there, standing in front of the mirror, wrestling with this long strip of fabric, trying to make some sense of it. It's a rite of passage, a symbol of professionalism and elegance, and yet, for something so small, it can be surprisingly challenging. The perfect knot eludes many, leaving them with a lopsided mess, instead of the neat triangular form they were aiming for. And let's not forget the length issue. Too short or too long, and you're back to square one. It can feel like an endless loop of trial and error. It's a common struggle, especially for young professionals stepping into the corporate world. But fear not, because today you are going to master the art of tying a tie. Before you conquer the knot, you must first understand the tie itself. The tie, an elegant accessory, is more than just a strip of fabric. It's a statement, an accent that adds a touch of class to your ensemble. To master the art of tie tying, let's break it down into its fundamental components. We're looking at three main parts here: the wide end, the narrow end, and the center. The wide end, as you might guess, is the broader, more substantial portion of the tie. It's what forms the bulk of the knot and hangs down in front. The narrow end is less conspicuous, but it plays a crucial role in adjusting the length of the tie. Then there's the center, the backbone of the tie, if you will. It's the part that wraps around your neck and acts as the pivot point for all your knot tying maneuvers. Each part has a role to play, and understanding them is key to tying the perfect knot. With the tie's anatomy clear, it's time to dive into the tying process. Scene script. Starting with the simplest of all tie knots, the 4-in-hand. Let's dive right into the process. The first step involves draping the tie around your neck. Make sure the wide end of the tie is on your right side, and it's longer than the narrow end. The exact length will vary based on your height, but a good rule of thumb is to have the wide end reach about your waistline. Next, cross the wide end over the narrow end. You've now created a cross. The wide end should now be on your left side. Now we're going to wrap the wide end around the narrow end. Bring it around the back of the narrow end and then to the front, creating a loop. The wide end should now be on your right side again. The next step is to bring the wide end up through the loop you've created around your neck. Once you've done that, you'll need to feed the wide end down through the loop in front. Okay, we're almost there. Now pull the wide end all the way down. You'll see your knot start to form, but we're not done yet. The final step, and this one's crucial, is to tighten the knot. To do this, pull down on the wide end while holding the knot. Adjust the knot until it's snug against your collar. You can also adjust the length of the tie by holding the knot and pulling on the narrow end. Remember, the 4-in-hand knot should be a little bit asymmetrical. That's part of its charm. So if it's not perfectly symmetrical, don't worry, you're doing it right. And there you have it. Practice makes perfect, of course, so don't be discouraged if you don't get it right the first time. Keep trying, and before you know it, you'll be tying this knot without even thinking about it. And voila, you have your 4-in-hand knot. Now let's shift gears to a more formal and symmetrical knot, the Windsor knot. The Windsor knot, named after the Duke of Windsor, is a thick, wide, and triangular tie knot that gives off a vibe of confidence. It's perfect for presentations, job interviews, or any situation where you want to make a strong impression. But how do you tie it? Well, let's break down the process into a series of clear, easy-to-follow steps. First, start with the wide end of the tie on your right and the small end on your left. The tip of the small end should rest slightly above your belly button. This will vary depending on your height and the length of your tie. Next, cross the wide end over the small end to create an X shape. You will then bring the wide end up through the middle of this X and then back down. Now you'll need to take the wide end and pull it underneath the small end and to the right, back through the neck loop, and to the right again so that the wide end is inside out. Bring the wide end across the front from right to left, then pull the wide end up through the neck loop from underneath. Proceed to bring the wide end down through the loop you've just made in the front. Tighten the knot by pulling down on the wide end. Slide the knot up to adjust. Now here's a pro tip. As you draw the knot up towards your collar, hold the narrow end of the tie and push the knot up with your other hand. This will help to keep the knot tight and ensure that the rest of the tie hangs straight. And finally, adjust the tie until it sits right in the center of your collar. The bottom of the tie should just touch your belt. And there you have it, a perfectly symmetrical Windsor knot. Finally, we tackle a knot that's the middle ground, the Half-Windsor knot. This knot is a favorite among many, offering a symmetrical and solid knot without being overly complicated. Let's break it down. Start with the wide end of your tie on your right, extending about 12 inches below the narrow end on your left. Then cross the wide end over the narrow end. Next, bring the wide end up through the middle of the loop between your collar and your tie. Now you'll pass the wide end back down to the right. Here's where the fun begins. Pull the wide end underneath the narrow end and to the left, back through the loop and to the right again so that the wide end is inside out. Now bring the wide end across the front from right to left. Then, pull the wide end up through the loop again. Finally, bring the wide end down through the knot in front and voila. Using both hands, tighten the knot carefully and draw it up to the collar. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it right on the first try. The Half-Windsor knot might require a bit of patience, but once you've mastered it, you'll have a versatile tie knot that works for any occasion. And that's the Half-Windsor knot, a middle ground between the simple knot and the full Windsor. It's a great knot to have in your repertoire, perfect for both business and formal occasions. It's symmetrical, not too large or too small, and it works well with medium-weight ties. Remember, the key to tying a good Half-Windsor knot, or any knot for that matter, is practice. So, keep practicing, keep trying. With a little patience and perseverance, you'll be tying the Half-Windsor knot like a pro in no time. Congratulations, you've mastered the Half-Windsor knot. So, you've made it through the knots, but let's quickly recap what we've covered today. We started off by understanding the struggle we all face when it comes to ties. We've all been there, standing in front of the mirror, tie in hand, and a sense of dread washing over us. But as we've learned, tying a tie doesn't need to be a daunting task. We then delved into the anatomy of a tie, breaking it down into its basic parts. We learned about the blade, the tail, and the girth, and how each part plays a significant role in creating the perfect knot. Next, we rolled up our sleeves and dove into the step-by-step process of tying the most common and versatile knot, the four-in-hand knot. This simple knot, with its asymmetrical shape, is perfect for most occasions, be it a business meeting or a casual dinner. Building on our newfound confidence, we then tackled the Windsor knot. This symmetrical and solid knot exudes elegance and sophistication. It's ideal for formal occasions and best suited for spread collar shirts. We followed each step meticulously, from crossing the wide end over the narrow end to pulling the knot up towards the collar. Not stopping there, we then ventured into the realm of the Half-Windsor knot. This knot is a happy medium between the four-in-hand and the Windsor. It's less bulky than the Windsor, yet more polished than the four-in-hand. It's perfect when you're aiming for a professional look without being overly formal, and there you have it. We've dissected the tie, mastered the art of the four-in-hand, the Windsor, and the Half-Windsor knots. Tying a tie is no longer a mystery, but a skill that you can confidently execute. With these skills in your pocket, you're ready to tackle any tie situation that comes your way. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep at it. We hope you found this guide helpful. If you did, why not give it a thumbs up? Your likes let us know that we're on the right track, and helps other tie-tying hopefuls find this guide. If you've tried tying these knots, we'd love to hear about your experiences. Did you find one knot easier than the others? Or perhaps you have a favorite knot that we didn't cover? Drop a comment below and let us know. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're all in this tie-tying journey together. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of helpful guides coming your way, and we wouldn't want you to miss out. Thank you for watching, and remember, practice makes perfect. So keep on tying those ties, and before you know it, you'll
Feast
be a
your eyes
pro.
on the latest trends and timeless fashion advice. Enjoyed the style journey? Give a thumbs up to show some love. Got a fashion query or a tip of your own? Drop a comment below. Stay ahead with the fashion curve. Hit subscribe. Remember, every style has a story, and you're just a click away from the next chapter. Cheers to a fashionable you. Stay stylish. Stay tuned.